I have personally moved from South Africa to Amsterdam with a job, and I've also moved from South Africa to Canada with my husband and 2 kids, and we both did not have jobs. Moving overseas can come with a number of different challenges, and I asked a number of you to share some of the challenges you've personally experienced living abroad, or challenges that you've thought of or seen as somebody who is aspiring to live abroad. So today, let's discuss some of the challenges that you could face and how to overcome them. Make yourself a cup of something that you love and get comfortable, and let's chat. So one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people have shared and continue to share over the years on different social media platforms that you might have seen yourself is being able to secure a source of income to sustain your life in your new country. So whether that's finding a job or starting your own business. 3 tips that I can share when it comes to making sure that you are getting a source of income that is steady as soon as possible is centered around getting clear on the kind of opportunities that you are looking for. And you want to get clear on the kind of opportunities that you are looking for because this is what is going to shape all of the other actions that you do. And I have made some notes to ensure that we are keeping the conversation as streamlined as possible. So that's what I'm looking at when I look down. The first thing you want to do is a self-assessment. Evaluate your skills, evaluate your strengths. What are your weaknesses? What are your interests? What are your values? What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What motivates you? Get all of those things put down, put pen to paper. And there are some tools that you can use like Strengths Finder, and I will link them in the description of this video. I highly recommend doing an assessment as one of the first things that you do to ensure that you are aligning yourself with the opportunities that interest you the most and you actually end up finding something that you enjoy doing. Check those out, and if you do have one that you highly recommend that you've done for yourself, share it in the comments of the video. The second thing that I recommend people do is setting goals. So define your short-term and long-term career or business goals and think about the things that you would like to achieve in a year from now, 5 years from now. You could consider factors like your salary expectations, what kind of work progression are you looking for, what kind of personal fulfillment might you be looking for, and use all of those things, including your work-life balance. Are you looking for more remote type of work? Get clear on that. And I will say from my personal experience as a newcomer in a country, if you can find a job where you do have the opportunity to go into office, I personally would recommend that, because when I look at the number of places I got to know living in Amsterdam and also living in Canada, when I would go to the office, there's so many things that I got to see on my way there. People would tell me about things that I could explore, because the relationships that you get to form with people in person versus online, they can be a bit different. So in those down times between work, in real life, if you are in office, if you're going to get water, when you're at home, you are going to get water in your own kitchen. You're not going to bump into a colleague in the kitchen. But if you are at the office and you're going to get water, you are gonna likely come across somebody. You're going to exchange some words, and that goes a long way in developing those connections. And then the third point I have down here is researching the industries and the roles that you have an interest in. So explore different industries and job roles to understand the opportunities that are available. I cannot tell you how many people have reached out to me asking, are there opportunities in Canada for somebody who does XYZ, and they go on to list whatever job they are doing. That is something that is going to be your responsibility as someone who is looking to move to another country. If it's something you personally don't want to go into, you could maybe spend money and pay someone to do that. If you want that person to be me, you are more than welcome to book and ask me anything session, and then add in the description, I would like for you to look up opportunities for me in this space, so we can talk about the strategies that you could use to help you find a job a lot quicker. At a very bare minimum, research the roles that are available. Get familiar with what employers in that country are looking for somebody who does a similar role to what you are looking to get into. Like I mentioned, you can use a website like LinkedIn. Indeed is another great one. Glassdoor is another website that you could look into. Get to know the different qualifications and experiences that employers are looking for someone to have. When you are doing your research, finding any events or seminars or networking sessions that might be virtual if you are still outside of the country is very important to help you start building those professional connections. The second challenge, which I think is a big component that people speak about and feel as though is not covered a lot, is the loneliness aspect of moving abroad, because you've just left a bunch of your friends behind. You've just left a community that maybe you've lived in for many years. You've left your family and you are in a new environment where so many things are brand new. And especially if you've moved as a single person, it's just you. You are the only person that you have physically that feels familiar. So it can be very difficult when people get to a point that they realize that I've left a lot behind, including the support system that I had. And you just have to get on social media and you will see a lot of people post about their experiences with loneliness living abroad. And it is something that came up quite a bit in the anonymous question box that I put up on my own Instagram as well. I've moved abroad by myself. So when I lived in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, I was living there by myself. I didn't have my family with me. And when I moved to Canada, I moved with my family. So I'll definitely go into my personal experiences. But before we get into my personal experiences, I just want to go through 3 tips that could help someone who is aspiring to move, or maybe you've already moved and you're thinking, I am feeling this loneliness creep up. What could I be doing to help alleviate it? So one of the things that you could look into is purposefully work on establishing a support system for yourself. If you haven't moved already, this is something I personally would recommend that you start doing even before you move. And establishing your support network is not always just going to be people who are where you are intending on moving, but even where you currently live. That could be the place where you are establishing that network of people that are going to be there for you when you have left the country. So as an example, when you are going through your application process, I do think it is important to have a couple of people that you trust, that you can talk to as you are going through the process, because there's a lot that goes on while you are going through the process. And I completely understand that there are a number of people you wouldn't want to necessarily know about your plans if you are planning to move. And that's why I say pick those people very carefully. You don't want to tell somebody who might be a naysayer, and you will know the people in your life a lot better than anyone else. There's places that I've personally lived in abroad where there will be a community newspaper that goes around maybe every week. Find out if that's something that's available where you live, if you don't get it automatically sent to the address that you're at, because that's where you get to see a lot of updates about events and things that are going to be happening in and around your community. Find out if your community doesn't have a website. If they do, look up on the website of that community directly. What are some of the events that are coming up? Show up to those events and be open to mingling with people, speaking to people, sharing your own experiences as somebody who's just moved, and getting to know people. So asking questions around how long they've lived in the area, what they like doing the most, telling them that you are still new in the area. And that helps you expand your network, and the number of people that you get to know grows. And of course, it's going to take time. I'm in no way saying go out there, find a stranger, and on the first day you are already giving them your entire life story and the password to your personal details and your home. That's not how it works. It's definitely going to take time. But if you are purposefully building and establishing that network of support for yourself, it is something that is going to help you when that loneliness creeps up. Staying connected with loved ones, I think, is a very underrated thing to do. Make it a point to touch base with people back home. That goes a long way in making you feel like you are still connected to other people. If you just leave it to chance that, oh, we'll get a chance to talk when we get a chance to talk, you may have varying time zones that just make it very difficult for you to talk. And that's where it's important to be very intentional about it. And if needed, schedule it in your calendar, where if you have an 8-hour time difference, you're finding a time with somebody that you want to catch up with, and you are chatting to them at that time. And of course, the person, wants to do that with you as well. And make sure you are also checking your messages as often as you can, so you respond to people and send messages to people yourself to keep that connection. And then one of the biggest things I think is also very important is engaging in your hobbies. Don't stop doing the things that you enjoy doing. Did you like going on hikes maybe when you still lived back in your home country? go for a hike, take on new hobbies. If you move to a place maybe like Canada and you don't mind being outside when it's cold, try out skiing, maybe learn how to ice skate. Find things to do that you actually enjoy doing, and that's also another way that you could meet new people or just spend time doing something that you absolutely enjoy, and it takes away from that loneliness aspect that you might feel if you were just sitting in your house thinking about how you are just sitting in your house by yourself. All of the points I've spoken about are important. So I don't want to say the most important, but I feel like it's the most important. All of them are important though, but practicing self-care. Practice self-care. Seek professional help if you think that is something that you want or need rather. But if you are somebody who's living in a different country and you are seeking support from a mental health perspective and you want to get that support in a language that you understand the best, that you can express yourself the best in, and for a lot of us, English is not that main language that we speak. Mood offers support in different languages. So whether you speak isiZulu, you speak Hindi, you speak Xhosa, Yoruba, there's a lot of languages that they support. I can't remember from the top of my head now like the full list, so I highly recommend that you check them out. And if you find yourself at a point where you feel like you need that extra support, check out Mood. They could be a great platform for you to reach out and just get to have a conversation with someone who can speak to you in your home language. Being able to speak to somebody in your home language on its own, for me, can feel very healing. I don't know what it is about it, but I have days where maybe I'm at work or even if I'm working remotely, but I've been speaking English the whole entire day. It's draining. It feels very exhausting. There's something about it that feels very exhausting. And then to go from that to having to speak about challenges that maybe you might be facing from an emotional or mental perspective, and you have to do that in English still, that can just add to that feeling of being drained. So check out this platform because it is one that could have you speak to somebody in your home language. And then from a practicing self-care perspective, again, move your body. Maybe go for walks, go outside, go for a walk, even if it's cold, go to the gym, maybe eat healthy, make sure you are getting enough hours of sleep, limit your amount of scroll time so you can have more time to rest, because rest is very, very important and it impacts a lot of things in your life. And then the third biggest challenge that I have seen and a lot of people shared is around finances. One of the biggest things that I found hit people quite a bit is the exchange rate when they move to a new country. And I mean, this has hit us as well, because when you are still new in a country, whether you have a job or not, those first few weeks, you are going to be using the currency from your home country. And if you are coming from a currency that is not as strong as the country that you are moving to, that fluctuation in exchange rate can really impact you negatively. So one of the things that I have seen could have helped if we thought about it a lot earlier was opening a foreign currency account. So saving for your move. If you are somebody who hasn't moved yet, consider looking into opening a foreign currency account and start saving for your move in the currency of the country that you plan to move to. And that's how you are going to help yourself beat that exchange rate craziness that could happen, because you don't know what's going to happen at what point, and you want your money to stretch for as long as possible. There was a lady in my group. They shared that they were saving for moving to Canada. They're based in South Africa. And when they look at the amount that they've saved versus a year ago, it's looking as though they are working backwards because of the exchange rate that just kept getting worse and worse and not looking the greatest for South Africans. So in a situation like that, the best thing that you could do is look into opening a foreign currency account and save in that account. So you could speak to your bank to find out how you could open an account that you could be saving in a different currency in, or just shop around different financial institutions in the country that you are in to try find a low rate or low fee account that you could open and save your money in the currency of the country that you are looking to move to. And then the next thing that you could do from a finances perspective is start learning about the financial system of the country that you are planning to move to or that you have moved to. as soon as possible, because that's going to help you make your money grow for you as quickly as possible, make it stretch for you as quickly as possible, and not lose money unnecessarily because you don't understand the system of the country that you have moved to. If you are moving to Canada specifically, one of the people I personally would recommend that you follow and start learning from is Rennie the Resource. Her handle on different social media platforms is XO Rennie. She is a finance and travel content creator. She's based in Canada. She grew up in Canada, and she has a wealth of information and can help connect you to other platforms and other resources, other creators who talk about finance, who are in the finance space. Her podcast is Don't Go Broke Trying. I highly recommend you listen to that podcast, but I think starting to familiarize yourself with the financial systems in other countries that you plan to move to is very important and can help you just make the most of your move from a financial perspective. Some financial systems can be similar, but don't assume. Don't assume anything. And even if you are relearning things that you might already know, just relearn them. It doesn't hurt to do a refresher. And then from a finances perspective, the third point that I would want you to look into, whether you've moved already or you haven't, is the cost of living differences. So they may be higher or they may be lower to what you are used to back where you are coming from, and looking into those costs and understanding what those costs are. So whether it is the place to live, it's the groceries, it's the transportation, it's buying a car, it's insurance, all of those elements, look into those as soon as you possibly can. Understand from a salaries perspective, what are the expected ranges for whatever job you are looking to get into, so you are armed with the right information to help you negotiate getting what you are worth if you are going to be joining a new company, and budget accordingly. So whatever might have worked for you back in your home country might be very different when you are moving to another country. Look at the different costs and things that you pay for in the country that you are moving from to see what adjustments you might need to make. What are some of the services maybe that you're not going to be able to keep having? Maybe you will need to pay a bit more for than you are used to, and start budgeting for those as soon as possible, because that cost of living difference can also make it a challenge for you to just settle in the new country that you have moved to, because you'll be looking at all of these things that you now might have to pay a bit higher for, and you're like, what is going on? Or on the flip side, if you are moving somewhere and the costs are going down, so what you are used to and what you are moving to, you're going to be paying a lot less. What are you going to do with that extra money? You need to think about that extra money. If you don't think about it, it's going to be very easy for lifestyle creep to come up, and now you are spending a lot more money on things that you might not even need because you didn't plan to have this extra money, when you could be putting it towards maybe your savings, you could be putting it towards investments for whatever it is that you might be investing in. So I think whether the cost of living for you is going to go down after you move or it's going to go up, acting accordingly is very important. And if it is for whatever reason going up, maybe you are also somebody who starts looking into other ways of making money or bringing in an extra income into your household. So essentially, being proactive with every step of every single thing that we've spoken about is one of the things that can help you overcome challenges before they even hit you. My personal experience on the loneliness aspect of things, I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that we are all very different. I'm personally an introvert. I love being indoors. I love staying indoors. I'm married to someone who, my husband is also an introvert. Like he's more quiet than I am with a lot of things, and more, I'll say, reserved than I am. But he is a let's go outside kind of person. He likes going outside, doing things, and I absolutely appreciate that about having him in my life, because I probably would hardly ever leave the house unless I had to get something that I need. I share all of that to say, when I lived in Amsterdam and I moved by myself, I am okay with being by myself for an extended period of time. And I'm not saying other people are not okay with that. I'm just talking about a personality trait on my end. I'm somebody who gets drained very quickly being in a group of people. I prefer more one-on-one type of interactions with people a lot of times. And so when I lived in Amsterdam and I lived by myself, that aspect of it for me just felt like, whew. When I come back from the office, I come back from work, I come back from maybe social activities that I had, I'm in a new place. There's a lot of new things, new information in my job. The environment that I'm in is new. There was a lot of newness that was just around me. And my home, when I came back to my apartment, was a let's take a breath moment for me. It was let's just take a breath. I don't have to engage anyone, and I get to just be by myself. And that is that. And when I go out into the world, I'm fully recharged again. I can go to work, interact with people, go to some social events, interact with people, interact with this new environment that I am in. And that's something I actively had to do. I actively had to put myself in situations where I'm leaving the house. Like, I am in Europe, I am in Amsterdam. Let me go out and just experience certain things. My family, my friends, they were always a couple of types away on my phone. I can send a text, I'm calling somebody, and there's people that I spoke to every single day, like my husband. Like, there's people that I would speak to on a daily basis. So understanding the kind of person that you are and your needs, I think, also goes a very long way in figuring out what your plan is going to look like when going back to the points that we spoke about. But for me, moving by myself in Amsterdam was good. From a language perspective, I had a colleague that had moved from South Africa as well, and we were working in the same team. We literally like sat next to each other very early in the year. He left the company around mid-year, and by that time there were more people that I had developed friendships with in the group. He was not somebody I knew outside of this workplace, but that connection of speaking isiZulu and coming from the same place, I think it also went a very long way when I moved to Amsterdam, because I would go to the office, we literally sat right across each other, and we spoke in isiZulu in the office. Like, we'd speak to each other in isiZulu, and if somebody else was part of the conversation, then of course we'll speak in English. But that on its own, I also do think went a long way in helping me not feel like I just want to go home, you know? Just feeling like I just want to go home, because speaking English for an extended period of time, personally, for me, you see, even now I'm like, personally, for me, why am I using those two words together, or two phrases, whatever? But it's just exhausting, is what I'm trying to say. It's exhausting. I don't think people who only speak English fully understand the activity that goes on in here when you're trying to think of certain things to say in a particular way. And when the English data bundles are depleted, which I feel like they are getting depleted for this video, things can go sideways very quickly. But that was my personal experience with Amsterdam. It was good. I did not get to a point where I felt like, oh my gosh, I am experiencing loneliness when I lived in Amsterdam. And in Canada, I moved with my family, which I think is one of the best things that could happen, because there's that familiarity already. So when you go out into this new world, this new environment, you don't know anyone out there, so many things around you are brand new, and there's a lot coming your way that is very new. You come home and there are these people that are very familiar to you and are home. Home for me is not a place. And I know this is something that has been said a number of times, but home is not a place. Home is a feeling. Home for me is that feeling of being safe, that feeling of I can finally just let it all out and relax and just exist and feel safe and secure and be in a space that I don't have to mentally be thinking about 1,000,010 things. And then I have awesome conversations with people. Silly conversations a lot of times. But moving with a family or people, I think, goes a long way. And there were people when we were moving who had suggested, oh, why don't one of you maybe move instead of both of you at the same time? And then when that person has established themselves, they find like a job, then the rest of the family follows afterwards, and you limit that risk of both of you quitting your jobs and now you have to go and make it work. I don't know. Like, I think for us, it just worked out a lot better that we have each other to lean on, and our kids as well. Having our kids with us just went a long way. So that's one of the things that I would say definitely look into if you can, is moving with people. And if you can't directly move with people, maybe come up with a plan where you are being joined by people that are very near and dear to your heart, because I do think it helps and it goes a long way in combating that loneliness or keeping it away as much as possible. What I would absolutely love is if you are watching this or you're listening and you've already moved or you want to move, or there's something that you've seen that you think could help somebody, put it in the comment section. What are some of the things that have helped you along your journey, or things that you've seen help somebody you know or somebody you've seen online? Share that information. My name is Busi, and I will see you on the next video.
Thank you for watching.
I made my matcha tea with normal dairy milk and I am not enjoying it. I like my almond milk matcha. I just wanted to try it with dairy milk today for some reason. Well, because we have it, we bought it. We normally don't, and I don't like it. I like my matcha tea with almond milk. It's taking a while for me to finish this because it's not banging. It's not it. It is not it. But then I'm also not about to throw it out because that feels like wasting on its own. Okay.